everybody, Larry Lawton here. Do I have a video for you today? It's going to be a real good video because it's going to be on the witness protection program. We're going to talk about some people who are in it, how it works, and why I'm talking about that right now is because of what's going on with the Alabama case and also the Miami case with the 4 guards that have been indicted for murder. Before I get started, please check me out on YouTube member program, Patreon, Discord. We got a lot going on there. Check out the merch, 3 Can Keep a Secret if 2 Are Dead. Please check out Gangster Redemption. It's a great book. If you have not subscribed, please subscribe, comment, hit your notifications. We appreciate all of that. Before we get into this video, I want to thank our sponsors, Raid Shadow Legend. They've been here for years. It is time to celebrate. Look at this! Raid Shadow Legend, 3-year anniversary. Can you believe it? Raid Shadow Legend, 3-year anniversary. Could you believe it? Seriously, people, it is party time. Raid Shadow Legends 3-year anniversary. I'm excited, I really am. Raid started with hundreds of bosses and they're legendary now. I love using these characters. I get into these characters. I go back into the game and I remember a character I played earlier. And if the new characters aren't enough, last year Caddis, Shadowkin, unbelievable, one of my favorites. Another amazing addition to the game is Doom Tower. And I remember when they developed Doom Tower, it was like a new world. Look at this guy, slash, bang, boom, look at this thing, this is crazy. And of course, no review is full without our new character. You gotta love him, Hydra. What I really like about the game is all the new characters they keep developing. It blows my mind on how they can keep doing what they're doing. It's amazing you could play this game on your PC or your mobile device. There's seriously never been a better time to get started. And if you use my link or scan the QR code right here, new players will get a free starter pack worth almost $40. And since it's Raid's birthday, the gifts keep coming. 10 Magic XP Brew, 10 Force XP Brew, and 10 Spirit XP Brew. Misericord, Tiger Soul, and Romero. Once you're in game, just enter promo code 3YearsRaid to get your hands on everything. Simple. I invite you all to join the party and check out the link below. Click on the link below in this description. Let me jump into what they call WITSEC. WITSEC actually means Witness Protection Program, or WITSEC, and actual numbers and where they came up with it. In 1971 is when the Witness Protection Program came about. Actually, after the RICO Act came out also in 1970, so they founded the Witness Protection Program, which is run by the United States Marshal Service. Now, some states, California, New York, some major states have their own Witness Protection Program, but as they say, they can't do as much as the federal government because they can't give you a new social security number. Only the federal government can do that. You know, the federal government also picks very cautiously who they bring into the Witness Protection Program. What can that person do to help their case to get somebody even bigger? I often look at this as how it's going to work. Now, let me explain what I mean by that. We have 4 guards who are up for murder down in Miami right now. They're up for murdering, for killing an inmate. And will one of them turn on the others? Will one get witness protection if they're threatened, or if they try to expose all the corruption that goes on in the Bureau of Prisons, or in the Miami prison or Florida Department of Corrections? Can they get witness protection program? Yes, especially if it becomes a federal crime, not a state crime. If it's a civil rights violation, something that somebody can get really in trouble for federally, now they can then give evidence against other people who are been corrupted and then expose a really big problem that's deeper, and then the federal government goes after those. When I was in prison, there was what we used to call them cheese factories, rat factories, whatever you'd like to call them. And there was one in Otisville, New York, and it was right next to Otisville Prison, and it was what they call a cheese factory is what we used to call those. But at this point, I'm just going to give you a little bit of a rundown on the Witness Protection Program because I think it's important for people to know what it really is. They're protected by Witness Security Program, generally testified against major criminal organizations and their members, such as traditional organized crime groups, gangs, terrorist organizations. Notice I said organized crime groups and stuff because that's become federal. The RICO is a federal charge, and it's usually in this capacity that the federal government gets involved. And the reason they do that is because they're trying to get higher up people. Sometimes they can't get higher up people without giving the people below them protection. Am I a big believer in it? I'm really up on the fence. I don't like it. I think the feds should do what they have to do. I get it on child stuff, but there should be no, you do a crime, you can just say, hey, I want witness protection because they're going to kill me because I'm going to tell you about all these other crimes. I just think that's fucking not fighting fair. I'm not a big believer in it. The Witness Security Program provides for the security, safety, and health of government witnesses and their authorized family members whose lives are in danger as a result of cooperation with the U.S. government. Yes, family members can go in there as well. And that really comes about more with the Colombians and stuff. They used to go after a whole family, and they would kill your whole family. Now, obviously, only certain people in a family are affected by this. But when you decide to go into witness protection program, one of these guys decide, they have to, sever all ties with anybody they know. And I mean even down to not even writing a letter. Can't go to a funeral. Can't do anything like that. And that's kind of a pretty tough thing to do. A lot of people who go into witness protection don't make it in witness protection. Meaning their old lives are such a draw to them, they can't take it. They have to get out of it themselves and take the shot of getting killed or whatever it's going to go. But here's a record I did not know. No person who's ever been in a witness protection program and followed the guidelines has ever been harmed or killed. Nobody. And listen to this, they've protected approximately 19,000 people, a little more actually, 19,000 people under the Marshals program, under the Federal Witness Protection Program. That's a pretty good record. Nobody's ever been hurt. But how can you really do it? I find it hard for somebody who lived the X amount of lifestyle to just all of a sudden quit. They do it and they try to manipulate the system. And obviously we're going to talk about that in a minute. The U.S. Marshal Service provides 24-hour protection to all witnesses while they are in a high threat environment, including trials and other court appearances. We know the marshals do that. Witnesses and their families typically get new identities with documentation. When you see somebody, they're what they call a ghost. There might be more to that story than meets the eye. Witnesses may initially receive financial assistance for housing, substance for basic living expenses, and medical care. Job training and employment assistance may also be provided in order to assist the witness in becoming self-sufficient. Yeah, I want to see somebody fucking go for, computer training and they're a fucking mobster who couldn't fucking write the word fucking the. A thug that had information. I don't know how they're going to get that person to get a job. The Witness Security Program has successfully protected approximately 19,100 participants, including innocent victim witnesses, cooperating defendants, and their dependent family members, from intimidation and retribution since the program began in 1971. This was since 1922. This is 2022. To determine who is determined into the program, who gets admitted into the program, all potential witnesses undergoing intensive vetting following the sponsoring of law enforcement agencies, the U.S. Attorney sponsoring the potential witness, the U.S. Marshal Service, and the Department of Justice Office of Enforcement Operations, which makes the final decision. So a state attorney says, we need your information, we're going to get you witness protection, and it goes up the chain. Imagine how about they do all that, and all of a sudden at the end they say, hey, we're not going to get this guy. That guy's fucked. No witness program participant following the program guidelines has ever been harmed or killed. Pretty good record, marshals. The Witness Security Program is a vital and effective tool in the U.S. government's battle against organized crime, drug trafficking, terrorism, and other major criminal enterprises. I'm not such a big believer in that. I really am not. I don't know if that is so true, that they can't make a case without certain people. When the RICO came out, they made that for the bosses of crime families who give the order, who have not been personally involved in a killing or something else. Now, the RICO Act, which is racketeering, influence, corruption, which I was charged with under the RICO. Now, there's crimes under the RICO. Now, the RICO is the Mothering Act, they call it, and now then the crimes under the RICO are armed robbery, murder, extortion, bookmaking, a number of other crimes can be under the RICO Act. Mine was Hobbs Act, which is interfering with interstate commerce by way of armed robbery. And that made it federal, one, because you're transporting crime, jewels across state lines. That's what made my crime a federal crime under the RICO Act. So then the federal government can get me. They try to make me flip, I wouldn't do it. I was offered 3 years when I was facing life in prison, and I wouldn't do it. Now, some people do it, and I'm not gonna even go into that. I don't believe people should do it. I think once you're in crime, you're crime. Now, there are a couple of people who actually say, oh, I realize my mistakes and stuff, and I get that, and I did as well. I think it's pretty hard to realize your mistakes after you murder people, and then you want to get out of prison because you think you deserve it because you've got somebody higher up. I don't buy it. I'm not a believer in it. I don't think it should happen. If you committed a crime such as murder, and you think you should get out of prison because you told on someone else who did more murders, where does it end? Where does it end? I don't buy it. I don't like it, and I don't buy it. You know, people are gonna, some people are gonna say, well, Larry, how do you get the next guy? How do you get the next guy? Well, you know, it's, you know, who's the devil? Who's the real devil in this? Listen, I'm a man who accepted my responsibility. I went to prison. I did a lot of time. I ended up studying the law. I beat a gun charge in my own case, and I'm out here able to talk to you right now. Some people who are not. Some people made their mistakes, but get away with a lot more than I got. And you can tell, I'm gonna tell you some people who is, and I'm gonna go through some famous witness protection people that did their shit. Listen, I used to be a really person who, you know, listen, rat, you hated rats and all. You know, I'm so past that. I'm so over that. They have to live with themselves. Anybody who did whatever they did has to live with themselves. That's how I look at life. I don't know their personal situations, so I don't know who the God they answer to, the family they answer to, the loyalty of friends and associates they have to answer to. Listen to me. A lot of things happen outside what we as citizens or we as civilians or we as people on the outside know. I happen to be in that life, so I know a lot of people in that life who just got away with a lot, ended up flipping, getting away with more, and I think there was a pretty good act. And then they go around like, oh, it's no big deal and everything. But I often say to people this: how can you do business with a guy that you don't trust their word? I know anybody who does business with me knows I do. My word means everything. If I tell you I'm going to be someone, I'm going to be there. If I do a business deal with you, I'm going to do a business deal with you. If take my book, if I send you a book, you're going to get your book, no matter what. That's just the way we are. Some people just their word doesn't mean that much. Now they're weighing me giving a shit about their word or other people giving a shit about their word, living in prison or living the life they can. Again, everybody has to meet their own maker and decide what is said or not said. I'm gonna give you some famous names and just tell you what they're doing and if they're dead or alive, and as much as we know, and this is off obviously a witness protection. It's called rank or crime. A lot of names I know, a lot of stories I know or know of, and some I didn't. Some were pretty interesting. We all know Henry Hill from Goodfellas. Henry Hill was the guy they based the movie of Goodfellas on. Henry Hill was a New York City mobster with 25 years of history with the Lucchese crime family, assisted the FBI in making 50 convictions, putting away mobsters like Jimmy Burke and Paul Vario. He died in 2012 at 69 years old. He was from Brownsville, New York City. Now, Henry Hill ended up coming in and out of it, but he ended up going on Howard Stern a lot and places like that. So he was one of the famous people. Nicky Barnes. Nicky Barnes was a drug dealer I knew of when I was a young person, 17 years old in Harlem. Now, Nicky Barnes, the Leroy Nicky Barnes, aka Mr. Untouchable, was known as one of the biggest drug lords of America history in the 1970s. When he was arrested and sentenced to life in prison, he discovered that the council, that drug ring he was part of, had turned against him. As a result, he turned over 109 names, including his wife, which ultimately helped convict
16 criminals. He died in 2012 as well at 89 years old and from New York City, Harlem, New York. You know, that you're gonna hear that thread. Oh, they were gonna tell on me, I told them first. I get that part of it, but I don't get the part where you tell on others. Now, obviously, they have to do that to take full advantage of the witness protection program, because if you lie to the witness protection program, you are kicked out of it and you're on the streets and everything you already said is still usable. So they make sure of that. Frank Salome. Mobster and hitman Frank Salome became the head of the Patriarca crime family in the 1980s. He was convicted of racketeering charges in 1995 and sentenced to 11 years in prison. However, when he found out his fellow mobsters were FBI informants, Salome decided to testify against the FBI agent Connolly in return for admittance in the witness protection program. He is 86 right now. He's still alive. That rang a bell because my Uncle Louis was with Raymond Patriarca and knew them up in Rhode Island and did bookmaking for those guys. So I understood that one very well. And actually, Raymond Patriarca was down in Florida one time and he told me the whole story about all that. So you're talking a long, long time ago, but here's that guy. Anthony Gaspipe Cassio, very well known. Anthony Cassio was the underboss with the Lucchese's with Vic Amuso at the time. And actually, I was with Vic in prison. But Cassio had a reputation for being a truly psychotic mafia member, especially since he attempted to kill crime boss John Gotti multiple times. When he was arrested in 1993, he offered to turn in evidence against his fellow mobsters. However, Cassio was thrown out of the witness protection program when he was accused of bribery, lying, and violence. He was sentenced to life in prison. He's 81 years old right now. He is incarcerated. He's from New York, New York. And he's still around. He's 81 years old. Joseph Valaro. In the 90s, Joseph Valaro joined the Gambino crime family after working in construction for years. In 2004, he was arrested for possession of cocaine and decided to help the FBI take down Nick Carrazzo and many of his mob families in a RICO case. He is in a witness protection to this day. He's 53 years old. I know the name from back in the day. Crazy when you hear about these kind of cases because it's a drug case. I mean, why? Would you think he's going to get killed for drugs? Nobody does. That's all bullshit, and everybody knows that. Here's one that surprised me. John McNamara. John McNamara made a name for himself as a successful businessman. He lost much of his standing when he was convicted, defrauding General Motors of billions of dollars. Billions of dollars. When faced with 20 years in prison and $800 million in fines in 1992, McNamara decided to turn over evidence to government officials he had bribed in return for witness protection. They gave it to him. He is 79 years old. He's from New York, but he is in the witness protection program to this day. This one really I did not know. Rayful Edmond. Rayful Edmond is allegedly responsible for introducing crack cocaine to Washington, D.C. as a drug kingpin. Despite that, the FBI accepted him as a government informant for reasons unknown. What really did he talk about, or who did he really know about? Edmond is still in jail, but his location is undisclosed as part of the witness protection program. He's 57 years old. Think about that, guys. That is wild. What did he know? In Washington, D.C., remember you had the Marion Barry, who was the mayor, who got caught with crack cocaine in Washington. Still went on to be something, and I think won re-election and everything. And that was crack cocaine days. So what did he really know, this guy? This is like the one that baffled me the most out of all of them. Michael Townley, known as a professional assassin, Michael Vernon Townley, was responsible for the assassination of multiple important figures, including Chilean army officer and a politician, Carlos Prats, for the CIA. How much bullshit's really going on, we don't know. Come on, guys. There's got to be a ton of shit going on. However, when he killed the former Chilean ambassador to the United States, Orlando Lettler, in 1976, he was convicted of murder and served 62 months in a U.S. prison. That's it. 62 months. Think of that. 60 months is 5 years. That's all he got. 5 years to 2 months in prison. That's pretty crazy. Anyway, he's 77 years old. He is in the witness protection program. Primo Casarino. Primo Casarino may be the most famous for extorting money from Steven Seagal. You remember that? He was a guy from extorting money with the Gambinos to Steven Seagal. But his involvement in the Gambino crime family led to his conviction of racketeering and extortion. His testimony in the case against Lawrence Ricci enabled him to receive witness protection. He is from Brooklyn, and now he's 63 years old in the witness protection program. Fat Pete Chota was a member of the Lucchese crime family until two men attempted to kill him in 1991. I remember this. He was shot 12 times, but his 500 pounds saved his life. He was a fat motherfucker. Totally remember this. While he originally refused to turn on the family, he became a government witness when his wife's life was threatened. The witness protection program saved him from 17 years in prison. He did die at age 65 in 2016. Obviously, being that fat, you can't live long. 65 years old is what he did live to. Alphonse D'Arco, often called the Professor. Alphonse Little Al D'Arco was once the acting boss of the Lucchese crime family. He was noteworthy for being the first crime boss in New York to become an FBI informant. For 10 years, he testified in many trials to help convict numerous members of the Lucchese crime family. He died at 86 in 2019. Again, he was in the witness protection program. I still am like, in my mind, I get shocked about that because I don't get it. How can you be in that and then just get the witness protection program? It blows me away. Jimmy the Weasel Fradiano became head of the Los Angeles crime family in the 1970s. However, in 1981, he testified for the government and entered witness protection. He died in 1993 at age 79, and he was from actually Naples. Sammy Gravano. People all over know him. Served as underboss for the Gambino crime family, but he was better known for his part in taking down John Gotti as an FBI witness in 1991. Shortly after leaving the witness protection program in 2001, he was sentenced to 20 years in prison for drug trafficking. Released in 2018, he faces parole for the rest of his life. He's 74, and he was in the witness protection program. Obviously, he's all over the place now. He justifies what he did the way he wants. I could never do that. I could never actually do that. And I don't want to know what they say and how they do it. It's just something that you kill all these people and then you just can justify it. And I don't want to know how he did. If it's true or not, we know he killed someone. He admitted to that. And now he's out and people think that's okay. I don't. I just can't believe that's all. I don't give a fuck what he does either. Have fun, do your own thing. Those days are over. I know who I am, and that's all that counts. And Angelo Leonardo. In the early 80s, Angelo Big Ange Leonardo became the acting boss of the Cleveland crime family, and he ended up getting witness protection as well. Now, how did these guys get the witness protection program after murders and stuff like that? That boggles my mind. The witness protection program is a tool they use. I don't have to like it. I'm not the government. I never will be. I am a guy who believes in rehabilitation, guy who believes in second chances, and how they get their own second chances, they all have to live with. Everybody has to live with. Doesn't make me have to like it. But I'm not the tell-all. I run my own life. They run their life. Let them do what they want. There's a lot of rehabilitation in people, and I believe in that as well. So with that said, I think you guys got a feeling of what the witness protection program is, WITSEC as it's called. I even think that these guards, somebody is gonna flip in the Miami case and probably talk about how corrupt the system is itself, and they will get witness protection from the government if it becomes a federal case. With that said, everybody, listen, don't even have to go this route. Make good choices. Don't follow what I did as a criminal or these people do and think you can get out of it, because you can't. That's not as easy as said as done. And make good choices, man. Please make good choices, and I'll see you next time.